Hey everyone, I just wanted to do a quick video about my garden. This is my first year doing a garden and I'm really happy with how it's turning out, so let me show it to you. Before we get started, I want to mention that this is a no-dig garden, so there was no digging involved in the setup of this garden, except for the holes for the posts for the fence. So that's no digging, no outside soil amendments or fertilizers, and very little watering. So even with this being my first year, I wanted to keep this as cost effective as possible. So here it is. I built this enclosure. I built it on the cheap. Got the netting from Ocean State Job Lot. I think it was about $100 in total. It's like a plastic hardware cloth alternative. And I also used rabbit wire at the bottom to kind of reinforce it. And I had some of that lying around already. Got some more of it at Home Depot. I think that was another 50 bucks or so. I bought the two 4x4 posts, just non-pressure treated. I didn't want any pressure treated stuff here. So what I did was I used a torch to char it. Just like a plumbing torch, propane torch. And that helps to protect the wood. I charred it, I did extra strong char at the bottom, at the part that's gonna be underground, and then I used crushed stone around the posts. They're a little bit wobbly because I wasn't able to get them down quite as far as I wanted to, but I can always add like a angle brace later to help reinforce that. The wood here was some extra cedar 1x that I had from another project, which was perfect. And then I had some chicken wire left over from another project that I used to fill in the gaps here. I pocket hole screwed everything together and then added a little extra reinforcement plate here in each corner. You can see the pocket hole screws here. So yeah, some of the char came off pretty quickly in the rain. So I was a little bit disappointed because I don't really like the kind of mottled look. I like it to be more of a smooth black. So you kind of have to go heavier on the char than you kind of might expect. All right, so let's go inside. So here is how I attached the fencing. Just drilled through. Some of these stakes I also had lying around, so I didn't have to pay for those, but then the big ones in the corners I bought. I think that was probably 100 bucks for all of those, something like that. All right, so yeah, looking inside, I've got 4 beds, and they're raised beds, but just 2x4s. Again, these are non-pressure treated 2x4s, and then I torched them to help preserve them a bit. And these are filled with compost, which is homemade compost. I've been making compost for years, but I haven't been growing anything with it, so I've just been piling it up. So this was perfect. I finally got to use the compost. Also had some leftover potting soil from flowers, ornamental flowers that my mom used. And so we've been kind of piling that up because she likes to use new soil every year. So I did On this bed, I did 100% compost. On the other beds, I think I did a 50-50 mix of the potting soil and the compost. But as you can see, either way, it works out. So this is onions, and they're coming in good. Some of them look like they could be ready to pick pretty much. Up here, I had beans. I had peas, and they're a spring crop, so they're pretty much done and dying. But I got one or two pods, 3 pods still coming in here actually. And I saved seeds for next year, but I only got like a bag like about the size of what you would get from the grocery store. Actually less than that, maybe half. 7 ounces I think it was of peas, which is better than nothing. Good for a first time, I guess. But I definitely realized that it would be much more effective with a larger crop, and it would make sense, rather than putting it along the edge of this bed, to just put it along the edge of the fence over here. It won't block the sun because the sun is over here, so no reason not to do that, unless the animals are going to get at it, but I don't think that's really going to be an issue, because they'll be on the inside of the netting. So that's what I'm going to do next year, and I've got the seeds saved to do that. Before I go any further, I want to explain that the beds, this is a no-dig garden. And so rather than dig up and till the soil, what I did was I laid down sheets of cardboard. Well, first I built these raised beds with the 2x4s, and then I filled them in basically with a single layer of cardboard, just right on top of the grass, and then I put the compost on top of the cardboard, and I removed any stickers and any plastic tape, any tape from the cardboard before I did that, so I wouldn't have that junk in my garden. Okay, so over here we have the potatoes, and they're kind of spilling out, so it's hard to even see the box anymore, but there we go. They're doing really well. I had some Japanese beetles a couple weeks ago, and they finally settled down, so there's some holes in the leaves, and I had to keep picking them off, but I think they've weathered the storm and they're doing pretty well. And I didn't even bury them in the soil at all, really. I just put them on top and covered them with a couple inches of hay. And yeah, it worked out great. I mean, so far so good. So it will be interesting to see when I go to harvest them, but they should be really easy to harvest. So over here I've got bush beans. These are white beans, cannellini white beans, and they're coming in great. I'm just gonna leave them on the pods, in the pods until they dry out. So they'll keep a long time, just like the beans you would get, the dry beans you'd get at the store. Oh, we got a couple Japanese beetles still here. Thought we were done with them. Throw them in a bucket with soapy water. There's one more. Okay, and then over here we got spaghetti squash. This is actually 2 plants, and they are going gangbusters, climbing up the fence. And I just kind of let them do that, and then I reinforce the fence because they're gonna get big. So there's a squash coming in. I have about 4 squashes coming in. I wish, and they're all the ones on the fence for some reason. I wish more would come in on the ground level, but we'll see what happens. So then over here, I got tomatoes, and I planted these from seed, and much contrary to the advice I received through AI, which said that I would not get meaningful crop before fall. Well, it's mid-July and I'm getting tomatoes. So count one for the humans against the robots, I guess. But in all seriousness, AI has been extremely helpful in figuring all of this out and preventing a lot of first-time mistakes that I'm sure I would have made otherwise. I happen to have a Stevia plant right here, which my sister-in-law gave me, and I just planted it here. It's doing great. You can eat the leaves, and they have a really sweet flavor. I use stevia a lot to sweeten things since I don't eat sugar. So that's just kind of a fun thing there. I haven't really figured out how to best use it as a crop. My original plan here was bell peppers, and so each one of these little stakes here has bell peppers growing. This one's doing the best. I was also told that growing these from seed outdoors would, direct sowing them would not work out in Connecticut, and that remains to be seen because they're still pretty small, so I'm not sure if I'm going to get much of a crop. So that might have been right. So I kind of panicked and I planted a zucchini plant in the middle before the peppers started coming up. So here's my zucchini, and it's doing great, but of course it's kind of crowding things out. And I already got one zucchini out of it, and it was delicious. And I got another one coming in down there at the bottom. It's kind of hard to see. Yeah, you catch a glimpse of it there. It's never a huge fan of zucchini, but I'm liking it. And I also have a winter squash plant here, which I think may not make it because the tomatoes are crowding it out, which is fine. I wasn't originally planning to do winter squash. I was planning on doing tomatoes, but I wasn't sure the tomatoes were going to make it, so I planted both. And the tomatoes are making it. So I have not had to water this garden at all. And I mean, this is what it looks like with that compost. And that compost has everything in it: garden scraps, humanure. It's well aged, about 2 years. And I used a bit of hay where I could, just to try to suppress the weeds. I think I really needed to make it thicker for it to be an effective weed suppressant. You could also use mulch. Mulch would probably be more effective. But you can see I still need to do some weeding. But now that the crops are established, it's there's less weeding that you have to do. So Oh yeah, and I've got some chamomile that I'm growing in the pots here because I wanted to be able to make my own tea. So that'll be fun. But yeah, no dig, no water. Relatively speaking, this has been a very easy, simple garden. And it's, you know, a lot of the crops I chose were based on the ability to store them for a long period. Like the onions, the potatoes, and the spaghetti squash and the beans. Because I really wanted to see like how viable is it, like how much could I sustain myself on this. Obviously this garden isn't big enough to sustain one person, but it's a start, and I have room to expand here next year. I'm thinking about expanding to the side with 2 more beds here and 2 more beds on the other side. But yeah, it feels really good to get out there and to grow something. Especially when you start seeing all of this come up. And to know you had something to do with it. So thanks for watching, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I should have some more videos in the future. Let me know what you'd like to see.